I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning and welcome to our June 13th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. My name is Andy Hunthausen. To my left, Commissioner Tom Rolfe. To Commissioner Rolfe's left, Brandy Spangler. She'll be taking care of us today. Good morning. To my right, Commissioner Candace Payne and Nico Hash, Deputy County Attorney, and Carrie DeRosier, who is our Director of Human Resources and filling in for our CAO today as support here. So thank you, Carrie, for being here today. And normally, Carrie's role would be handling consent action items, but we do not have any today. Prior to moving on to the next item on the agenda, there's a sign-in sheet in the front as well as agendas. We'd like everyone to sign in if they would, please, so we have a good record of who's attended our public meeting today. And we'll move right to item number 3 on the agenda, which is a contract between Lewis and Clark County and MJC Property Maintenance, LLC. We'll give Jessica a moment to get her. No worries.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jessica Makus, Special Districts Coordinator for Lewis and Clark County. Before you this morning is a contract with MJC Property Maintenance, LLC, to provide maintenance in open space, grasslands, common use areas, parklands, fire easements, and drainage easements within various rural improvement districts throughout Lewis and Clark County. Work under this contract will begin upon approval, and this contract will automatically renew for successive one-year periods not to exceed 3 years. This maintenance was solicited through a request for proposals, which were due on April 30th. 2 proposals were received and scored by an evaluation committee based on scoring criteria included in the request. MJC Property Maintenance received the highest average score, and we began contract negotiation. This contract pertains to maintenance services such as mowing, weed control, weed spraying, sprinkler system upkeep, and other landscaping services to maintain park, fire, and other RIDs, as detailed in the resolutions that created the individual districts. Compensation is based on hourly rates for services as provided in the proposal submitted by MJC Property Maintenance, LLC, and according to an annual schedule of maintenance, both included within the contract documents. Hourly rates for future years will be negotiated prior to the start of each season. Staff recommends approval of the contract with MJC Property Maintenance, LLC, and authorize the chair to sign contract documents.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions related to this contract? Any questions? Just for those that are watching, you mentioned RIDs, and there are many properties within these districts that have no maintenance mechanism unless we set something up like this. And so thus we're doing it. Go ahead. I'll let you just.
Sure, Mr. Chair. A lot of times when subdivisions are created, park districts or park rural improvement districts, fire rural improvement districts, trail rural improvement districts have been created to maintain those kinds of items. And then this contract before you will provide that maintenance as required. The vast majority of our rural improvement districts are road related, and that's a little bit different. But for those other special districts that we have and are, need to maintain through those resolutions that created them, this contract will help us provide those services on a regular basis. As per the schedule that's included in the contract.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All right. How about public comment on this item? Public comment on this item. Public comment. All right. Hearing none, Commissioners, is there a motion, please? Turn on your mic.
He's always just bossing me around, but he's absolutely right. Chairman Hunthausen, I move that we approve the contract between Lewis and Clark County and MJC Property Maintenance, LLC, as presented by Jessica Makus.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the contract as presented. Further discussion, Commissioners? Just thank you. Appreciate it.
Is anyone from MJC Property Maintenance in the audience? Oh, okay. I thought maybe somebody would be here to talk to us about this. This looks like a really important part of our upcoming fire prevention season with the winds we were having yesterday, weeds growing, and I noticed this provides for mowing around fire hydrants, and it just seems like a really important part of our preparing for emergencies in the upcoming fire season. So I'm glad we're doing this.
Thank you. Any other comment? All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you, Commissioners. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 2024-47 to levy and assess the Lanning Rural Improvement District number 1991-4.
Okay, again, good morning, Commissioners. Again, Jessica Makus, Special Districts Coordinator for Lewis and Clark County. Today you will be holding public hearing to hear comments and objections regarding the final adoption of Resolution 2024-47 to levy and assess a special assessment of $155.85 upon each benefiting property within the Lanning Road Improvement District. With a total of 28 benefiting properties, $4,363.80 will be assessed annually to fund maintenance of the district. This district is highlighted in pink on your screen, and it's located to the west of Valley Drive, just north of the city of East Helena, just the northern boundary of the East Helena city limits. The Lanning District was created through a citizen-initiated petition in 1992 to improve and maintain the Lanning Road. Maintenance provided by the district includes snow plowing and sanding as needed, crack sealing, pothole patching, sweeping, drainage maintenance, and chip sealing. The maintenance assessment has been $73.92 per property per year since 2003. However, we have seen a significant increase in the cost of road maintenance, specifically the cost of chip sealing. These increases have resulted in a projected budget shortfall of approximately $8,000 for the next chip seal cycle, which is scheduled for fiscal year 2027. An increase to the assessment will ensure annual maintenance in the Lanning Road Improvement District can be completed as detailed in the resolution that created the district. This is a total increase of $81.93 per property per year. An evening public meeting was held with residents to discuss the need for this increase at the East Valley Fire Station on March 13th, 2024, with a total of 11 attendees. Legal notice of the increase in the public hearing was sent to all benefiting property owners and published in the Helena Independent Record on May 25th and June 1st, 2024. As of yesterday, no written testimony has been received. Staff recommend approval of the resolution to levy and assess the district, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Questions, Commissioners, on this particular proposed increase? Okay. Thank you, Jessica. How about public comment on this item? Please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, and we're all ears. Welcome. Thank you.
My name is Dale Brackman. I live at 3232 Grandview, but my property also borders Lanning Road. So I'm in a unique position and I'm the only one that pays for both roads. First of all, is this increase just one time or is it going to be continually increased? That's my first question.
We'll take all your comment and questions,
Okay.
and then we'll call our staff back up and
Okay.
try and answer all the questions we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I noticed that we have a 5% administration fee, and I feel that you guys have mismanaged this RID because to raise our rates over 120% in 1 year, I think that is lack of foresight on the committee or whoever does the RID. I feel our idea is managed by a county employee, which is paid by the county, which is part of our tax base. I don't feel that this administrative fee is fair. I also don't feel that you guys are doing your job as far as administrating this. You should have proposed a 2, 3, 4% increase every year. And because this is a real large hardship on everybody when you double or more than double the cost of everything. I understand that inflation is taking its toll, but I think this year things are cheaper than they were when they proposed this new budget. And I think that part is wrong. Okay. Also, last year they used our roads, which are private roads that we paid for the improvements on, as a public detour for a project that was done on Valley Drive. I feel that the only reason that was done was to save money at our expense. They could have done a single lane with lights like they do in a lot of construction areas, not sent all those people down our roads. There's a little connecting side road that's called Westview. You guys opened up the end of Westview onto Tree Rise. That is an illegal crossing. That's only a 30-foot easement. I haven't been able to get anybody to close that road off since the construction. It's not a legal road. You can't pass 2 cars at the same time. It's a blind corner. Also, the fact that Westview was a dead end road and there was only 6 to 8 cars coming off of Westview onto Grandview or on the Lanning Road. Now there's 50 to 75 cars a day. The UPS, all those guys, delivery guys, are all using our side road like it's a through street. They cross Grandview at 30 miles an hour. And Grandview is the paved road. Westview is the dirt road. Furthermore, when we had this detour, we asked them for signs, for slow signs. We asked them for additional signing to say that that wasn't an approved route to go on. It was local traffic only. We got nowhere. I had to argue with them to get gravel put on the side road. And that took over 5 phone calls to even get that done. When the project was done, they were supposed to sweep all the residue and stuff from the extra traffic, and they did a piss poor job. And that's a nice terminology. They might as well not even have done it. And since that, now we paved both roads, those roads, or chip seal both those roads to eliminate dust and eliminate mud and all that stuff. And now we're dealing with both those problems all the time because of the extra traffic on on Westview. I also feel that since we had all this extra traffic on there, that if we are having a shortfall this time on our chip seal money, that the county or the contractor that did the Valley Drive Road should make up the difference, because they added a huge amount of extra traffic on our road and wear and tear, and we are not being compensated for it at all. In fact, we're being abused. Let's see, what else do I got? Okay, I'm really concerned about Tree Rise being left open. I've talked to Tom Rolfe. I've talked to Caleb, which is the RID guy. I talked to somebody named Tom, I think, in the road department. I can't get any action on it. That's not a legal road. We're in a 50-year-old subdivision. That road was never open until this contract with doing Valley Drive. And I feel it should be closed. It's not a legal road. It's a 30-foot easement. If you look on our subdivision, it was never intended to be a road. You know, so I would like to see that closed. And I also would like to see them compensate us for the use of that road during their contract, because all that did is save them money, and all it did for us was cost us money and wear and tear on our road. The landowners chip sealed those roads to eliminate dust and mud. Westview Road should only have local traffic, maybe 8 or 10 cars a day, not 50 to 75 like it is now. We paid for the improvements. but we have no say who uses the road. Administrative costs of 5% to me, it's unacceptable. I mean, we have a county employee that takes care of RID projects. You guys aren't taking care of these RID projects, otherwise we wouldn't have over 120% increase in our tax base. So those things right there. If you're not going to close tree rise, I think we're going to sue you guys as far as we're going to do a class action lawsuit, because that's not right. Okay. And I don't want to, I have to expose us to that expense and you guys to that expense. Just use some common sense and close Tree Rise Road back off. Because right now the traffic that goes on Westview, which is only a 2-block little side road that's dirt, and the only ones that ever put any improvements into that road are me and my neighbor Shane. We're the only ones that ever put gravel on that road. And we see these cars flying across Grandview at 30 miles an hour. Like they like it's their road. Before the road was opened at Tree Rise, there was no traffic and everybody was courteous, and that they understood that that was just a little side road that only 8 or 10 people went down. To more than double our assessment, I also think is wrong, because if you nobody woke up yesterday, and we all know that the price of things go up. I don't disagree with that. But I feel that you guys are extending our chip seal time in between, which actually helps deteriorate the road. And I think that somebody should have been on this. If the rates haven't been raised since 2003, somebody should have been on it to bring this up, you know, to raise it 5% a year or whatever. Instead of having an administration fee of 5% a year, why not just raise our RID 5% a year? I think everybody would be agreeable to that. But to raise it from $73 on Lanning to $155, that's, you know, that's a hell of an increase. Same with Grandview. It was $68. Now it's going to be $144. I mean, that's a burden that a lot of us are seniors. A lot of us are on fixed incomes. It's just not affordable. You know, I mean, somebody missed the ball here. Also, I think with the detour use, nobody even, you know, this was a public notice and it was brought up to our attention. We got the notice by a piece of paper on our door from the contractor saying, oh, this is going to be a detour starting 2 days from now. Nobody asked us. And I also feel that it shouldn't have been authorized. It was private property. You know, I mean, these are private roads that we paid for. And all of a sudden, you know, we got just tons of traffic on them. So I think that needs to be addressed, especially for this chip seal. I think the road needs to be chip sealed this year. I think it's well overdue. I think if you look back on the record, I think that we averaged about 6 years on our chip seal. I'm not positive of that. I don't have the records with me on that, but I do feel that to wait till 2027 to chip seal our road, the road will deteriorate. Right now, it's one of the best roads in the county. There are no potholes on that road. Well, you know, years ago, I was told that I couldn't build a house out there because we would have to improve the roads to county standards. And I made the comment that what would we have to put potholes in them? I mean, that's how good our road is. And we maintain it very well. I also think that there should be an apron added on both sides of Grandview to help control the mud and dust that comes out from the side road there. And I also think there should be an apron on the end of Lanning, because that's what the problem is right now is when those cars come out off of those side roads, they bring mud and dirt all the time. That's my comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brackman.
Okay.
Appreciate you being here today. We'll try to answer some of your questions after public comment. Is there further public comment? Further public comment on this proposed? Please. Welcome.
Well, I'm not used to public speaking, but here I am. So.
That's all right.
But I'm Glenn Arlent. I live on Lanning Road.
Could you spell your last name for us?
Arlent, Arlint.
Thank you. Just want to
Right.
make sure we get it right in the record.
like lint on your clothes, you know, so.
Yeah, gotcha.
But anyhow, we've been there since 2015. And every winter, we get a lot of snow there and we never get it plowed. And one time I called the county up and told them we need that road plowed, and they come out and plowed it. But they plowed it about 4 inches above the road. So they didn't really plow the road like it should have been plowed. And we have a big problem in the wintertime getting that road plowed. And I just want to express that, and this gentleman here, he expressed my other opinions that I had. And another thing, I'm against the increase. It's way, way, way too much. I don't believe it takes that much money to maintain these roads. I didn't go check prices and all that, left that up to you guys. But I just want to express I'm against the increase. So
Thank you.
a little bit of increase is fine. I don't mind that. If it went up to $100 a year, something like that, that's reasonable. But doubling the price, that's just too much. So thank you very much.
Thank you for being here today. Thank you for your comment. Appreciate it. Is there further public comment on this item? Further public comment? No further public comment. We'll close comment. So we'll try to answer some of the questions. I'm sure you wrote those down, but I also like to discuss you said that 11 folks came to the meeting. You discussed this there, and then you have not received, prior to today, haven't received any written or verbal protest.
Mr. Chair, that's correct. We held the Grandview and Lanning RID meeting together on the same night. So there was a total of 11 attendees for both rural improvement districts, the benefiting properties on Grandview, which we'll discuss in the next agenda item, and then also Lanning. We did specifically talk about snow removal in that meeting during that discussion, and talked about the need for more snow removal in this, both on Lanning Drive, or Lanning Road and Grandview Road, and have some intent to increase that frequency moving forward. There has been actually one of our rural improvement district snow removal contractors lives in the area, and you know, before he goes to work, he plows his way out. Certainly doesn't do the whole thing, but does do a portion of it at no cost to residents. But regardless, we did discuss lowering that snow trigger point to get more frequent snow removal in the neighborhood moving forward. Moving towards, I'm sorry, Dale, I didn't catch your last name. Brackman, thank you.
I was down south.
That's
And
fine.
other thing about the snow removal, I will say that Caleb did give me a phone number. So on Grandview, they told us so we could call if we needed to have snow.
Very
So,
good.
I don't know about
Sure. So, Mr. Brackman did talk to Caleb about snow removal and has a phone number to work with. We do Grandview and Lanning together. They're invoiced separately because they are coming from separate RID funds at this point. However, those are done at the same time by the same contractor for the proximity savings. Moving to some of the other comments brought up by Mr. Brackman, I will try to address some of those. This is intended to be it's not a one-time increase, but it's not anticipated that we would need to increase it over the next couple of years. We try not to go back and forth with these assessment rates. We do pass a resolution to levy and assess these districts each year, regardless of a change in price. When we do have an increase or a decrease, we hold that in a separate public hearing, though, like we have today. We're by statute required to levy and assess these districts before the first Monday in September, the first Monday after the 1st of September. each year, we're to assess what it costs to maintain each of these districts at that time. As part of our budgeting process, Caleb, Marcus, and I look at the anticipated revenue coming in for each district, the anticipated expenditure, both for, annual items such as pothole patching or crack sealing or snow removal, things like that, but also those lower frequency, higher cost cycles like that chip seal cycle. These roads, Lanning and then Grandview to the south, were chip sealed in fiscal year 2020. So it's been about 4 years since that was done. It's anticipated that we'll do that again in 27. But like I said, we're anticipating a shortfall looking at that chip seal cycle. The reason for that is in 2021, our chip seal cost was about $1.70 per square yard. In 2022, that price went up to $4.40 per square yard. It kind of bubbled, and now we've seen that level out at around $3 per square yard. But that price has doubled, and that is the reason for, the large increase that we're discussing today. We have not seen chip sealing follow a kind of a level rate of inflation. We had a huge boom in that cost, which is unfortunate. And as you know, we've had many of these meetings this year and last year dealing with that huge inflation that's come into specifically the asphalt road maintenance market, if you will. The price of oil, has largely driven that.
Before you leave that one.
Yes.
Can you just talk about chip seal in general? Industry standard is 7 to 10 years, depending on the amount of traffic and the condition of the road and the base and all. They put in a bunch of different factors, but typically a chip seal lasts 7 to 10 years prior to putting it. So as we're saving in each one of these districts, we're trying to save for that 7 to 10 year cycle for replacement. We actually save it toward the 7-year mark. But if we get to 7 years and the road's in great shape and it can last till 8 years, that could save the folks some dollars and frequency if the road's in good enough shape. So can you just speak to that a little bit? Did I hit that mostly?
Yeah, Chairman Hunthausen, thank you. That's correct. So these roads, both the Lanning Road and Grandview to the south, are double shot chip seal surfaces, which means that they don't actually have an asphalt mat on the bottom. The chip seal is the surface. And when they did that initial improvement, it's just a double layer of the chip seal, and the maintenance, the industry standard maintenance on that type of road is a single chip seal cycle, like you said, every 7 to 10 years as needed. Generally, a double shot chip seal road does need it more on that 7-year rather than the 10. But Caleb Marcus, our RID construction coordinator, visits all of these districts. We want to assess so that the money is there on that 7-year cycle if we need it. If we don't have the funding and the road is in need of that work, the only other option we have is to take a loan for the work, which we try to avoid because obviously then you have interest, you have money that has to go to the RID revolving fund by statute. So we do try to project these out and make sure that we do have the funding available when that cycle comes up. If roads go much beyond that cycle, if the money is not there and that maintenance cycle is held off, you can get to a point of no return, right? Where you're not talking about a maintenance cycle anymore. Now you're talking about a rebuild. So we work really hard to prevent something like that and something that would come with a much higher cost if we got to that point. That helps.
Yeah, thank you.
And onto Mr. Brackman's comment about the 5% administrative fee. By state statute, by state law, we are able to add an assessment or an administrative fee to our RID assessments. And so that takes 5% of the total revenue coming in for the district for the year. Prior to this increase, the assessment for Lanning Road had been $2,069.76 per year coming in total revenue. The administrative fee on that was $103. With a proposed increase today, increasing that total assessment to $4,363.80, that administrative fee would go up to $218. That fee, though, while 5%, is capped out at $500 and it cannot go beyond $500. With all of the rural improvement districts that we have, I think the total amount generates about half of a full-time employee for this program. It's a very minimal, I'd say, revenue source compared to what it actually takes to run a program like this. To fund my position, Caleb Marcus, half of Jesse Whitford's time, and our administrative assistant Jade Wills. Again, this increase probably should have been a lower amount and a more frequent since 2003. I think until this big jump in the chip seal cost, though, this district was in okay financial shape. We didn't really see it, becoming a huge issue until more recently, with the big inflation jump that we've seen in that chip seal market. It is our intent, since Caleb and I started these positions in 2019, though, we do review these budgets annually for each of these districts. And it is our intent to propose lower, but perhaps higher frequency increases as needed to make sure that we're covering the maintenance for each of these districts. So smaller increases, but perhaps every 3 to 4 years or 5 years as needed to stay on track with these budgets. It does take a lot of time to do this, though. We do hold evening meetings to try to have these discussions with folks so that they can understand the need for it. There's a lot of staff investment that goes into these increases, more than just the public hearing today. Let's see.
Mr. We're not in public comment right now. So if we have another opportunity, we'll make sure we open that up for you. But just for order, we need to make sure we follow our procedures here. So just want to follow up on that, what you were discussing there in terms of staff time and all of that. We didn't have your position nor Kayla's position until 2019. So as you said, it might have been prudent to be raising this gradually over time, but we didn't have the staff doing that. And there are as many as 150 RIDs that we're tracking right now. And annually, this assessment of where they are and if they're producing enough revenue to make sure they cover the costs of the maintenance and or improvements that are indicated in the resolutions. That has to happen annually now. So it's just been since then. And then we had this huge jump with inflation and the costs of everything. And so we've had to not only look at them as you got started, and then everything went up so much that we're looking at them again and making sure that they have enough funds in the accounts in order to cover the costs of the maintenance that has been indicated in the resolutions. So I just want a little bit of history there, that you've only been with us for these last 5 years or so. And we have not, prior to that, we were not paying as close attention to each one of these RIDs on an annual basis as we maybe could have, should have. But we are now. So continue, please.
Yes. So thank you, Mr. Chair. That's a good way to put it. Moving on to the detour that did occur during the Valley Drive work. I moved the map up a little bit so that you can see where Tree Rise Road comes in off Valley Drive to the south of Grandview Road. Tree Rise Road was extended when the city of East Helena put in the Vigilante subdivision to the south. I'll move that map. So you can see the Vigilante subdivision, and then this purple line is the East Helena city limit. And so Tree Rise Road from here to here was extended. And I believe a lot of the traffic that Mr. Brackman's referring to is likely coming from this subdivision and the extension of Tree Rise Road. I have looked at the certificate of survey for Tree Rise. That is a 60-foot public access easement on Tree Rise.
And I would assume now it is a City of East Helena street. I believe it, if it's a budding, we can maybe, it probably is a City of East Helena street. I'll go with that maybe.
I can't speak to that, but that's certainly something I could look into. I don't believe that that portion is maintained by the city. I believe they maintain Plant Road to the south, the other entrance.
Yeah, whether they maintain it or not, I think that
Right.
if they've annexed to that point, then they probably are
Right.
likely responsible for Tree Rise now.
The Lanning Road and Grandview Road are, despite what maybe people feel they are not private roads. Looking at those surveys, those are not private roads. We don't administer rural improvement districts or road improvement districts on private roads. These are roads open to the public. When the work was done on Valley Drive, I did look at this area, and the contractor that did the work did gravel and grade Westview Road. We looked at that road prior to construction and post-construction. It is my opinion and the opinion of Dan Carlin, our county engineer, and Caleb Marcus, who were all on site and involved with this, that road was left in better condition than it was found.
Please, Mr. Brackman, please.
While it was used for a detour, it was repaired after the work was completed. There was no significant damage or wear and tear as a result to Lanning or to Grandview following that post-construction inspection as well. Let's see. I think that hopefully I've covered the majority of those comments. I'm happy if I missed anything though, happy to address that now though.
Okay, and
There's
any
anything
questions
else?
for Jessica, commissioners?
If I might,
Please.
the where Tree Rise Road comes out, and it looks as though on the map that it dead ends and then it becomes after the right turn or the north turn to the north there, it becomes Westview Road. And you say that Westview Road was worked over by the folks that were doing the work on Valley Drive,
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Rolfe, that's correct.
and they redid it. Did they do anything on Grandview or on Lanning?
So, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Rolfe, so Lanning and Grandview are hard surface roads. Westview is a gravel road. They did not do, and I think other than the sweeping that Mr. Brackman mentioned, they did not do additional work on Lanning or Grandview, but they did do some work on Westview to add gravel and to grade that to mitigate any of the damage that was done on Westview. Westview is not, when you think of a gravel road, it's not like a Hauser Dam road or a gravel road with a lot of gravel surfacing. There is a lot of mud. There is a lot of it's not a county standard gravel road. So they did do some improvements to that road when they completed the construction.
Would it be fair to say that there was extra traffic on Westview and Lanning and Grandview during the construction on Valley View?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, absolutely. It was used as a detour while that portion of Valley was closed for the work. Absolutely.
Is there any way to make part of this cost as a part of maintaining a detour. Beyond, apparently they did the work on Westview, but is there any way to put some of that cost from the detour on Lanning or Grandview?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, Dan Carlin, our county engineer, Caleb Marcus, our RID construction coordinator, inspected Grandview and Lanning prior to the construction and then after. There was no damage sustained to either of those roads as a result of the detour.
Mhm.
And because of that, there's no reason to have funds go to the RID because of the detour, without some kind of impact. I don't know how you would determine, because there was no damage sustained to those two roads. I don't know how you would determine how much they would have to put in, to mitigate any of that cost. And I don't know, where we would propose those funds would come from.
Well, I guess my thought is if when the county was having that work done on Valley Drive, if it was required to work on Westview, then it had to be putting some extra traffic onto Lanning and Grandview, and maybe we should have absorbed some of that cost towards their long-term work as part of the county cost there. And I'm just wondering if there's a way to do that.
Commissioner, I'm going to jump in because I really appreciate the question, and I think it's a question that we need to have maybe with Mr. Baltz and with Director Chambers about redirecting some dollars to that cause if we chose to. But today, we are really focusing on the RID. If the RID has enough funds in it to do their future needs, right, cover their future needs. And so that, I think that question is a separate question because those dollars would probably come from some allocation from the commission if we chose to do that at some point. But the RID probably needs, it still needs to be considered in terms of its viability going forward. So not only the next chip seal, but the one after that, and are we collecting enough dollars in order to cover the costs of those needs? So,
well, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that maybe the increase wouldn't have to be so much if we were absorbing some of that cost because of the detour, and I think it might be worthwhile looking at that possibility.
sure. Okay. So
Might I point out that the Lanning district will be the subject of our next
Right.
item. So we are currently on the
we're actually talking about Lanning right now.
okay,
Grandview's
so the
next.
Grandview district is
Right.
so
Right.
let's
I mean,
keep it in the right order if we can.
but what we're talking about Lanning now, and it would be one of those that might be helped out, where the fund might be helped out, and it might apply to Grandview as well, and it might be worth finding that out before we move forward.
So with that in mind, time frame, I know we have to have this decision made prior to the first Monday in September, right? Is that no, what's the date we have to or middle of August or something? We have to have, it's pretty soon. We have to.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, to get on the next year's tax bill, we have to have it levied and assessed the first Monday after the 1st of September,
Okay.
wherever that lies this year.
So if we wanted to discuss this a little bit further, we do have a little bit of time if we wanted to postpone our decision.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, that's absolutely true.
Okay. So, commissioners, if that sounds like what you'd like to do is maybe consider some of the
Yeah, I
nuances to
I
this
think
prior to.
I mean, if we had to build a bypass and then return it to natural state afterwards, we would have cost involved in doing that. And maybe this is a way to reduce some of the cost that would be going towards those subdivisions if we were to recognize that it was to our advantage to have the detour there, and that maybe we should eat some of that cost from the county as maybe an unanticipated cost of doing the work on Valley Drive.
Okay. Commissioner, any thoughts on the subject?
I don't,
I
think
mean, we don't have to make a decision
No,
right now.
and I
just if
think
there's any further discussion.
giving it further time to gather information I guess I was thinking, does this impact the season of our ability to work on these roads? Because we all know winter is coming, but that's not the situation. The money is being collected before it is spent, which is a novel
Yeah.
idea. I'm being sarcastic.
Right,
Oh.
they're not anticipating a chip seal until 27.
Okay, one other thing I think has not come in, and in the past, I believe that Jessica Makus comes in here every once in a while and tells us we're going to lower the assessment for an RID because costs haven't been as high as you expected. I was watching the news the other night and I see that the price of petroleum is coming down and they're not, and so there may be an impact on the calculated price of this. So if in 3 years, we don't need that much money, will you come back in and say, let's lower this to a lower amount per year? Yeah.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Payne, that's a good question. As I said, we look at these budgets annually and projected revenue, projected expenditure. And what we do is we put that into a long-term budgeting worksheet where we add an inflationary factor into the next year and the next year and the next year so that we can get an idea of how that assessment is holding up and is projected to hold up over time. When we have 14% inflation or 154% inflation like we saw in our chip seal market, that doesn't work. But provided that steadies out, that's usually a pretty accurate budgeting tool. If we do see that, when we're budgeting for our annual maintenance or chip seal cycle, but yet we're still seeing a cash balance projected to grow, that's when we consider a decrease. And in 2021, we had several, we had about 6 decreases that year, and then we kind of saw things take a turn. So we don't want to, decrease, increase, decrease, increase, yo-yo this assessment each year. It's not efficient for folks or for staff or for anybody. So, that's why we do try to look at that in a shorter, like a 5-year period, if you will.
Thank you, Jessica.
Right, so to summarize that, we do look at them annually, try to set the RID rate at a place where it can be fairly consistent for as long as possible and maintain the funds in the account to do the work that needs to be done. So I'm just rephrasing that. And then what I've heard from you is that the impact to this corridor, Westview was taken care of in terms of its bringing it back to a gravel surface that at least as good as it was. The others look like from our engineer and from the staff, there was not an impact to those hard surfaces, and so back to normal business from that perspective. However, there was increased traffic along those roads. So Commissioner Rolfe brings up the point that because of that increased traffic, do we have some responsibility to potentially invest in the maintenance there? So those are the questions on the table, I guess. And if we can, commissioners, you're both in agreement to take a little more time to consider this and discuss it with staff or with the Director of Public Works, we can do that, or if you need more time to consider the options. In terms of this, it's a public or a public hearing. I'm looking at our legal staff now and discussing process. If we wanted to postpone a decision until, say, the 25th of June, which is a regular Tuesday, the 25th, gives us a couple of weeks to consider our options. Procedurally, doing that, just a motion to continue the hearing until that time. What would be the right terminology? Probably.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, so because you guys are at the point where you've just been discussing this, I think the proposed motion could be just to table it until that date certain. So it sounds like the commission wanted to do some further questioning of county staff. So just
Okay.
motion
And
to table
I-
works. And
Great, and we'd have the opportunity to offer public comment again at that time if we wanted to do that.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I think because at the point when you close public comment moving forward, I think that motion could also include opening it back up for public comment as well. And then maybe something on the record to the effect of that you would take public comment again
On that date.
on that date,
Okay.
if that's what the commission so chooses.
Okay. Would that date work for you? Are you going to be around?
Mr. Chair, I believe that should work just fine.
Okay, and commissioners, you're both going to be in town on the 25th of June? Tuesday, the 25th, normal working day?
Probably,
Nobody's-
yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So if you'd like, commissioners, that would be a day that works, and the motion would have to be something to the effect of like to table this item until that date, reopen public comment. We'll take public comment at that meeting as well. So,
One other question for legal and for Jessica would be, what if we were to reduce the levy now to maybe a more of an inflationary increase, and then go through this process, and if that doesn't work, we may have to raise it again the following year. If we aren't able to find some substantial reason or funds to make that, to pay for part of that.
right.
So would it be within our power to change the number today from moving to 100 and I think in this case the amount requested is 155.85, maybe drop that to 130 today.
Well, Commissioner, I don't think we have to make a decision today. I think if we postpone this till the 25th, we could then make that decision.
Would it be within our power to reduce it to $130 as an example?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, so in this juncture, when it comes to maintenance costs within rural improvement districts, so it is within the board's discretionary determination to assess the amount that it needs to assess to maintain that district. So your question, Commissioner Rolfe, certainly the commission could go less than what's proposed. I don't think that that's what's happening today. I think legal's heard some of your questions about incorporating some of those things. That's something that we can certainly look at.
Okay.
But in any public meeting, if you guys were going to do that and there was an idea or a suggestion to go less than what was the initial noticed amount, that's certainly something that could happen. Certainly some further discussions are going to come out because of that. I think staff does a pretty good job of explaining what needs to be met in order to continue that maintenance of those improvements. But certainly that decision is left up to you.
So I get in my mind there, we need to analyze whether or not we owe some money to that RID to help cover for using that as a bypass for that a couple of months when all that work was being done. And there's two ways we might approach it. One would be to take a look at that, try to come up with the funding from somewhere else to help fund the project. Or we could reduce it now from maybe 155 total dollars down to maybe 130, with the idea that we would try to put the money from county funds in towards that. To me, those are two alternatives that we should consider.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
Might I address Commissioner
Please.
Rolf's discussion there? It seems to me that taking an action as you proposed could be in the future, the RIDs could come storming in and said, well, you did it for them. Why can't you do it for us? Equal protection under the law. So if we allow this RID to have less assessments to support their roads than is recommended by our staff who, they're just a bunch of bean counters, or they do this calculation and they've got to have, and I admire them because I can't do it, but I do understand there is a basis for this demand. This amount of money is needed to fix these roads. And I think we may be setting a bad precedent by not continuing to count on our staff to come up with the number based on mathematical calculations and not based on somebody's theory that, well, we could all get by with dirt roads and, maybe that would discourage thousands of people from moving in here and needing more roads. But my point is, I think we're headed down a slippery slope if we don't continue to have the standard as set by our very professional staff, the engineers, Jessica and Jesse and Caleb and Dan. They work hard and they do these calculations. And if we're not going to count on their calculations in this instance, then when we do the RID for the subdivision that Andy lives in, which I can't think of the name of, why can't we do the same for them?
Mr. Chair, I might respond to that. I have full confidence in the abilities of our staff to come up with good calculations. I think we have an instance here where there may be some a requirement for the county to pick up part of the task. We're not saying that the cost is going to be any different, and I think we need to take a look at that and see if that is the case. And if it is the case, we need to do something to make a change. And like I say, I've got full confidence in the staff being able to make estimates and try to do the right thing. But I would rather not charge people extra money if we don't have to.
Thank you, Commissioners, both of you. And I don't disagree necessarily with any of that. I have great confidence as well in our staff, and they come to us after really good assessments about what do we need to maintain these RIDs to the level that has been indicated in their origination documents. And that's, I think, our responsibility to do that. Along with that, I understand the question about whether there is some extraordinary responsibility because of the detour during construction. But however, I think our staff has evaluated that as well. So I'm willing to take the time to reconsider that and look at that, and try and understand it more fully. But they've also given us some pretty good indication about the impacts and the status of those roads now. So I'm willing to take some time though to study it. Did you have further response?
Sure, Mr. Chair, and Commissioner Rolfe, I would just mention that, we can, certainly obviously table this, look into that, that effect and see if there is potentially a reason to use some other county dollars to subsidize this rural improvement district for the impact of the detour. However, I would just mention that the assessment before us today, the increase that we're discussing is inflationary. This is the amount needed for inflation. I would also say that I would just maybe caution against reducing that amount until we know that answer and until we know how much money that would be. You know, the way this model works, better or worse, right? As we look to the next chip seal cycle, which is scheduled for 2027, if we reduce this assessment, even by, you know, this seems $25 or something, but add it up over 28 properties over 2 years or 3 years till we get to that next cycle. I mean, all of that money needs to be accounted for to make that chip seal happen. And I don't want to see us assess, you know, have a big jump in assessment, but maybe not quite the jump that we needed. I just don't want to see us come up short for that 2027 cycle and need it. And then we have no mechanism other than a loan to get that work done. So I just want to, the purpose of looking at these budgets and you know, we don't take these decisions lightly. They are not arbitrary. We certainly have empathy with the impact that this has on everybody's tax bill and their life. We put these numbers together because there's a rural improvement district on this road, and this is what it takes to continue with that.
And if I might just say, once a special improvement district or a rural improvement district is set up, we are bound to try and take care of it properly and do the work that we've committed to do.
Yes.
So I can understand what you're saying. Do I understand you to say that of the two alternatives that I proposed, that the best would be to wait a couple of weeks and see if we can come up with an answer? Would that be your preference?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I'm happy to table it and look into that further so that we you know, so that you can all feel confident, you know, one way or another that this is the direction, you know, that would be the direction to take.
Yeah, and if it were to be determined that the county owes something towards that, then it would reduce the amount that we need to assess in order to come up with the total dollars that are needed to maintain the roads properly.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, that's correct. But I would like to see what that amount would be and rerun the numbers just to find out exactly what that number should be to stay on track.
I think that makes sense.
And that's a challenge. And I think Commissioner Payne pointed that out. It's, you know, to just come up with a number, it really needs to be objective to some degree so that our engineer and others that look into this, you know, how do we calculate the impacts to those roads? And if they are not, if they're in good shape after the extra use. I don't know exactly how we did it. So I think that's one of the questions we have to answer over the next couple of weeks, potentially. Anything further?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I guess maybe I'd add or just a point of clarification just for us as you guys have asked the questions, but it also sounds like after the detour happened that the contractor and the county folks went out there, looked at the roads, did something they needed to do, and I think ultimately concluded that the roads were ultimately in better shape than they were previously. So I know we've had this discussion about some of the impacts. It sounds like the county also went out and looked at that and addressed those issues after the detour. I could be misremembering that conversation, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Right. Okay. So we'll look at those issues. It is a question. How do you decide what that might be? So anyway.
And if we postpone it for 2 weeks, the answer may be the same thing.
Could be.
It could be. I mean, they base these things on certain facts and assumptions. And I don't think we can expect our the engineers to come back with a a whole new plan that, oh my God, you don't have to have any increase in assessments. We'll just get by with what we've got. That's not reasonable. We know the price of fuel and tires and gravel and everything has gone up. So,
I think you're right about that.
okay, and so we need to allow them the freedom to, just because we don't like the answer you return with, that doesn't mean it's not a good answer. It's based on calculations and facts and math. Ew.
I,
This will also impact the next item on our agenda. So perhaps we could, and I suppose we would need to do a separate motion. Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
We need to
Okay.
go through that whole
That's all.
process. Too. But I appreciate that all of this discussion is to consider options. It doesn't mean we're going to do anything different than what is being proposed today necessarily. So we will consider those. And commissioners, then if you're ready at this time, I would entertain a motion to table this item until the 25th of June and reopen public comment.
So,
that
so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to table this item until the June 25th at our regularly scheduled meeting and reopen public comment through that item that day at the meeting. So, commissioners, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 2024-48 to levy and assess the Grandview Rural Improvement District number 1991-2.
Okay, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, again, Jessica Makus, Special Districts Program Coordinator. Though, like as Commissioner Payne stated in our last item, these two items will be closely related, but since they are different items and different resolution numbers, we will hold public hearing to hear comments and objections regarding the final adoption of a resolution to levy and assess an annual special assessment of $144.15 upon each benefiting property within the Grandview Road Improvement District. With a total of 31 benefiting properties, $4,468.65 will be assessed annually to fund maintenance of the district. The Grandview District was created through a citizen-initiated petition in 1991 to improve and maintain the Grandview Road. Maintenance provided by the district includes snow plowing and sanding as needed, crack sealing, pothole patching, sweeping, drainage maintenance, and chip sealing. The maintenance assessment has been $68.36 per property since 2003. However, with the increase in the cost of road maintenance, specifically that chip seal cycle, we do project a budget shortfall of approximately $5,000 for the next chip seal cycle, which is scheduled for fiscal year 2027. An increase to the assessment will ensure annual maintenance in the the Grandview Road Improvement District can be completed as detailed in the resolution that created the district. This is a total increase of $75.79 per property per year. And again, we did hold that evening meeting to discuss this with folks at the East Valley Fire Station on March 13th, 2024, with a total of 11 attendees. Legal notice of the increase and the public hearing was sent to all benefiting property owners and published in the Helena Independent Record on May 25th and June 1st, 2024. As of yesterday, no written testimony has been received. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions, commissioners, at this point?
I have a
Yes.
question. I'm looking at the map, Jessica, and is the new subdivision that is in the city of East Helena a part of this RID?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Payne, that's a great question. Thank you. It was. So prior to the extension of Tree Rise Road, the only way out for the property that was there before was to go up Westview and out Grandview Road. However, with the extension of Tree Rise Road and the annexation with the city of East Helena, that property no longer benefits. I've talked with Eric Spangenberg, our GIS coordinator, and this property will fall off and no longer be assessed as part of this district because there's no longer the need to go up to Grandview Road, can simply exit out Tree Rise. And that, again, that property has been annexed. So this, the map that loads on the interactive site, which is just a great tool, pulls that old boundary map, but this will be adjusted because that area no longer benefits.
Okay, one more, a
Yes.
follow-up question. So this RID initially had, it says 31 benefiting properties. Does that 31 benefiting properties include the area in the new subdivision?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Payne, it does not. There were 32 benefiting properties because that was one lot that was annexed and subdivided. That has been dropped.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Further questions this time? Okay. Thank you, Jessica. All right. How about public comment on this item now? Public comment. If you'd come and restate your name and address for the record, so we have a good recording. Welcome again.
Hi, I'm Dale Brackman and I live at 3232 Grandview. A couple of issues that I'd like to bring up is I contend that it's only a 30-foot easement at the very end there. And if you go out there and look, you'll see that the property owner, I don't know how I have to explain it, but the property owner at the south west corner of
Jessica, could you help?
Westview, that property owner there is property.
This one here.
Oops,
Sorry, this is great. This
yeah,
one here.
this little spot right here.
Okay. Can you guys see that with the
Yep.
cursor?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, that spot there, the property owner that's there, can't remember what his name is now, but when East Helena paved part of Tree Rise there, Tree Rise is 60 feet wide, but when you see at the end of Tree Rise where it ends, the property owner's fence covers half of that road. So at the very end there, that's only a 30-foot access. The property owner that's north of there on the east side of Westview, he's got a shed right there. I mean, right at that edge there. The property owner that's on the opposite side, which is the west side of Westview, his fence line comes right halfway across the road there. So there is only a 30-foot section for a person to drive after you hit the end of the pavement. And that goes right on, you have to take a right there, which goes north, and that goes on to Westview. That's always been closed off until this detour. And that's my contention is we get a lot more traffic on our road because of this, and it should never continue to be open. So that's one thing you guys got to address, not with the rural improvement district, but because that we have a rural improvement district. Also, Tree Rise Road, that is the city of East Helena's border, but everything north on Tree Rise Road is in the county. So that road actually is a half and half road. The south side is East Helena, the north side is in the county. So that part there should not be open to the public to come to our subdivision. And I can tell, I looked on my plot map and that's only a 30-foot easement at the very end. Tree Rise Road is a 60-foot easement, just like Grandview Road and just like Lanning Road. But at the very end there, that's a no man's land and somebody needs to address it. Okay. Second comment I would like to make is since we did do the rural improvement that our taxes have gone up because everybody's taxes went up, but I feel that our taxes went up more because we did improve the road there. So if there's any leeway for revenue to come off of the county itself to compensate for the detour and that stuff could also be part of our base for our property taxes in the first place. And then I'd also like to make the comment to Candace is that we're trying to accomplish something here. And I think Instead of having 6 people go, oh, we can't do this, have 6 people to go, how can we get it done? And I feel that the city of Helena or the county of Lewis and Clark County, you guys work backwards that way. You guys don't look at what can we do as a team to get it done, more of the objection. And when you said a slippery slope, we're in a unique situation. We're the only people in our RID that I know of that have been used for a detour on a major road without any comment, without any input of our rights as people that own that land out there. So I would just, I'm not trying to be an adversary here. I'm trying to maintain our road. We're proud of our road, and I understand that costs go up, but I also feel that we have extenuating circumstances that's been brought up through this detour. The extra wear and tear, which may be not much to you guys, but when we had 30 people driving on that road and all of a sudden we had 150 people for 2 months, that's an impact to us. Okay. Maybe the road was built good enough that it doesn't really deteriorate it much, but either way, it's an impact on us. Second of all, the opening of Tree Rise Road has ruined our side road there. There's only 6 people that live on that side road or less than that. And none of those people that live on Westview pay anything for the rural improvement district. And none of the people that live in the new subdivision in East Helena pay anything for our subdivisions improvements either. So we are the few people out there that actually improve the road, and we're being penalized for it. I don't disagree that things come up, but I also feel the county dropped the ball on raising rates at a reasonable rate. To more than double our rate in 1 year is a lack of sight, a lack of hindsight or whatever you want to call it. But, we want the road to be maintained, but we need to have some common sense, compromise here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, the other thing I will say too is if our road was redone in 2020, which I'm not sure if that's the right date, and we are assessed, for example, on let's see, on Grandview, we're assessed $2,000 a year. We have almost $15,000 in our fund. If the road was only done 4 years ago, that would only be $8,000 in our fund. So did we have a surplus?
We'll
Back
ask
then,
that question after.
And that's my other question on that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate your comment. Further public comment? Welcome.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners and staff. Thank you. My name is Sean Jackson. I live at 3225 Grandview Road, the very end after the loop and down about a 450-foot driveway. I'm here to echo some of Dale's comments. I'm not here so much about the increase, but I am here about the shortfall in the work done. Little background, my family and I have separately and together owned businesses in Lewis and Clark and Jefferson County. And we have had to, I have had secured some contracts with the federal government and with Jefferson County, and we were expected to perform. Whoever's doing maintenance on our road, they don't perform. Miss Makus, Jessica, made a comment about somebody on the road that works for one of the contractors on your RID, and said he plows his way out in the morning. That's good for him. But if he lives at the end of the road, I don't know who it is. It doesn't do any of us any good. We really, when we get a snowfall there, I don't see any kind of snow removal that I can speak to until maybe late in the day. I don't work until the afternoons. I have plowed snow, removed snow at our family businesses and done it since I was 17 years old. I know that it will take me longer to plow a parking lot than it takes to go up and down Grandview Road. We have a problem with slush. The slush, in Montana, we see that. We get a melt, a thaw, we get ruts, and it freezes the next day. We can barely get our car down that road when they do plow the road. It's just, it's awful. I don't know who does it. I know when I put in for contracts, there were other companies that we had to bid against, but when we were awarded a contract, we were expected to do the work. I don't think that any of you probably, we talk about seeing Westview Road, the improvements done to it after you sent people out and they confirmed this or that. I don't think that's done on a daily basis when we get snow. I believe removing snow is, as you all know, I'm sure, because you see what the city, those people are out at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. If I go out at 10 o'clock in the morning, I have a plow, I plow our 400 feet. No work has been done. 10 o'clock in the morning. They have, I know that they have priorities that they believe are priorities. I believe our roads are priorities. Because of emergency services getting in, us getting out in case of emergencies. I believe homeowners getting out of where they're at, if we're paying for it, is a priority. I just don't see the work being done. Also, when work is done, they stop at Westview Road. Grandview Road, as you can see, goes around a loop. I live at the end of that loop. That loop never gets done. They ignore it. They don't go around the loop, which is just as easy to go around the loop and back down. It's a good turnaround point. The person does not do it. It could be because my neighbor and I both have plows, and we do it after 10 o'clock in the morning or whenever we get a chance to get ourselves plowed out. They just did a crack seal repair on our road. Just 2 weeks ago, a week ago, they stopped at Westview Road. They did not go around the loop where there was repairs needed to be done. They stopped. The work just isn't being done. I've seen, my wife has lived out there for 36 years. I've lived out there now for 12. I've seen sweepers out there one time. We have a problem with that kind of maintenance. I'm not one of those people. I live in a rural area. I don't expect it all the time. We see sanding at the end, which is good. But if that sand is not swept, that can cause just as much of, just a problem too with accidents. It's hard to stop on sand that's left. I just see it, like I said, I'm not worried so much about the increase as I am having an increase with work not being done. It's like an election year. Now they're putting some crack seal on there. They fill the pothole. It's like, okay, they're trying to get some, that we need to have, their assessment needs to be increased. We need to increase it. And now they're doing some work out there. But I'm just here to tell you that my main thing really is the snow removal. It's horrible. It just is horrible. And like I said, we see some sanding at the end. That's really all I have. You guys have talked about, you spend a lot of time doing the calculations. Your staff spends a lot of time doing the calculations. I think maybe it would behoove everyone to see that this work is done. We all understand calculations and stuff takes a long time, and you come up with a figure. I would just like to see work done there and see people there maintaining that road and finishing the road. I could easily make some money plowing a parking lot when I was young and doing it. And I could just maybe cut out the handicap spots. Then when it cost me is, then I'd get it done quicker. Can't do that. You have to finish the job. And I believe that's what's being done right now. And I'd like to know who our contractor is that's doing it. That was one other question I had. I now have a name, Caleb. So maybe I can work with him and get a phone number from Dale or somebody. And I think that pretty much covers what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Appreciate your comments. Further public comment? Any further public comment? Welcome.
I'll make one more comment. Go ahead.
My name is Kathy Arlant, and I own 3270 Grandview Road. And a couple of comments that I have is, I know it's been said that there was no damage to Grandview and Lanning Road, and I won't speak for Lanning, but when they did that detour, there was damage to Grandview Road as you come off of when they came around Tree Rise, which was a really bad situation there. But as you come around the corner onto Grandview, because of the amount of traffic, that corner was deteriorated. And there were huge holes right next to the pavement. And that was compromised, in my opinion. That is my opinion, and I'm not an engineer, so, but driving that every day and going through there and the amount of traffic, it did compromise right there by the mailboxes on Westview. I have no problem with making sure that we have the money there for the road. We need that because I would like to see the road continue to be improved as necessary, then not. I mean, if the money's not there and then it can't be done, I just as soon make sure that that money is there. I guess that's it.
Well, thank you very much for your comment. Appreciate it. Mr. Brackman, you said you might have another comment. You need to come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. We're recording all this and it's in the official record and all that stuff. Yeah.
Dale Brackman again, 3232 Grandview, and I live down on the cul-de-sac at the end there. But basically, the corner there where Westview does come out on the Grandview, that is deteriorated because of all the extra traffic. And the contractor, when they were done, they did sweep. But they did is the minimal amount of sweeping that they could possibly do. They didn't sweep the aprons to knock off the gravel that and brought onto that road at all. And their comment was the county guy came back out and looked at it. And he said, "Well, it looks satisfactory to me," but he doesn't live out there. He doesn't see that the daily activity. So I asked him to get the contractor to come back and sweep the aprons, off of Westview, from Grandview off of Westview, because all that dirt came on the Grandview. They refused, saying they'd already left the area. Helena Santa Gravel 7 miles from our road. And to me, the county didn't put any pressure on the contractor to do that. So that's why I say a half-assed job is better than no job at all. But that's what they did at the end. When I talked to Caleb here in the spring, I said, "Can't you get a sweeper down here and sweep some of this mud and dirt off of Grandview, at no extra cost to us as part of our RID?" And he said, "Oh yeah, somebody will be down there to do it." There hasn't been a soul down there, and every time it rains or whatever, we get all this mud and all this dust out on the Grandview. It wasn't that way until Tree Rise was opened. Somebody's got to go down there and see this. Somebody needs to see, what I'm talking about, where Tree Rise goes on to Westview. There's a fence right there on half of the road. There's a building on the other corner. That's my contention more than the price of things. I mean, I understand things go up and we need to We need to have money to do this stuff. But to make us deal with tree rise and the extra traffic on Westview is not right. And that needs to be addressed in this RID issue here at all, you know, and that's all. That's my comment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Jessica. Few questions there, maybe.
Yes, definitely. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, to Mr. Brackman's first comment about the surplus or the cash flow, I don't have it with me today, but those numbers, the cash flow, the revenue expenditure since the creation of this district, or at least as far back as their most recent financial system, are available in public information. And I would be happy to send that so you can see exactly how much money's been in that account all along. And there's also a summary of how it's been spent. Since Caleb and I came on board in 2019, we also keep now electronic invoices of all work completed in an electronic filing system that we've created, so that when people are, want to know what an individual service cost, that's all available easily, electronically, and transparently upon any request, and that's available at any point in time for any of our rural improvement districts.
Just along those lines, we've
Yes.
discussed it before in terms of the amount of dollars in the account. Your goal is to try and set an assessment so that we don't have a bunch of surplus. We just have the amount we're going to need to do the work that has been indicated. Is that correct? We're not trying to, we have to save for that next chip seal. So that looks like a surplus in there, but we're only trying to save the amount we really need to do the work.
Mr.
Correct.
Chair, Commissioners, that's correct.
Okay.
Additionally, with a double shot chip seal road, we leave a little extra in those accounts for contingency. You can see, because of the nature of that road, because you don't have an actual asphalt mat under there, and depending on what that road base underneath is, which oftentimes was whatever was there, was just graded, sloped, and they put that double shot chip seal on top of it. Depending on what's under there, you can see frost heaves or big issues develop occasionally on those types of roads. You can see that, for example, really clearly on Orofino Rural Improvement District. So when you are going up North Montana onto Lodestar Road and Menlo Park Road, right in that area, there are some really, really significant frost heaves that have come up there. So on those types of roads, we do leave a little contingency, but you're absolutely right. The goal is never to carry a large cash balance year after year. I do want to be clear that Westview Road is not included in either of these rural improvement districts discussed today. The districts are Lanning Road and Grandview Road. We'll absolutely go look at the Grandview Road loop, especially with the crack sealing that was just completed, because we're still under that contract. If there is work to be done there that's unresolved, I'll take a look at that now. However, I understand that there are a lot of impacts to Westview that are then impacting these road improvement districts. However, Westview is not included for maintenance with these districts. So I do just want to be clear there. And then I think, a lot of, what Mr. Brackman said about that is maybe not so much to do with these rural improvement districts, but is a separate issue that can certainly be discussed. To Mr. Jackson about snow removal, we discussed this, I think, a little bit with Lanning, but snow removal has been minimal there. Snow is a challenge with, about 150 rural improvement districts throughout Lewis and Clark County. Caleb Marcus, our RID construction coordinator, has a loop that he drives, which I know because he went on vacation this winter, and I did it several times also, to kind of check how much snow has fallen in each region of the county. As we know, what happens in the Bird's Eye corridor compared to the North Valley, compared to the surrounding area around the East Valley, East Helena area, can be very disparate. Oftentimes we can have almost a foot of snow in the Bird's Eye corridor and a dusting in the North Valley, so he does this route to see, who has how much snow. This past year, what we've implemented with our RID snow removal contractors is a trigger point so that the contractors that we do have, we have had about 12 this year, are assigned specific districts. We try to make those nearby each other so that a contractor's not getting called to Bird's Eye and then called back out to the East Valley and, just spending all this time mobilizing rather than plowing snow. So we've assigned those districts accordingly to be nearby, to minimize that travel time. What we've done there, we've assigned the districts, but we've also assigned these trigger points depending on how much snow removal people want to see. Snow removal comes at a cost. Some districts don't want to be plowed unless there's a minimum, 6 inches of snow or more. Some districts want to be plowed with every single storm. Some are in the middle range, so 3 inches, 4 inches. I believe this area has been set around 4 inches. We can absolutely lower that. One of the challenges, though, is that oftentimes on this loop, Caleb does not go into every single district. I think we have about 280 miles of RID roads in this county. He's not driving every single one of those for every storm. He's getting an idea. When you see that a road has been plowed, it looks like it's been plowed, a lot of times he assumes that's been done. If a property owner or something is doing that plowing, a contractor that shows up on site maybe doesn't swing in because they assume it's already been done. So there's a little bit of a challenge there. One of the other challenges is that RID snow plowing is not that lucrative. I'll just be honest. A lot of these snowplow contractors that we have are plowing a lot of businesses. They're plowing parking lots. One of our contractors does all of the Montana city schools before they start plowing for us. We are not the top priority, unfortunately, with snow removal. What happens is snow is removed on those main corridors, on the valley drives, on these main corridors, and contractors are prioritizing based on the money that they're getting. And unfortunately, those big commercial parking lots have always gotten done first. I wish that was not the case. I would love to see some of these neighborhoods get more service, before early afternoon or something like that, but we just don't really see that. In the past, also, we've had up to 20 contractors that are interested in plowing snow in rural improvement districts. Like I said, this year we have 12. We put out a request for qualifications and roster every single interested contractor that wants to plow snow in these rural improvement districts once a year. They publish their rates. And we work with those rates and districts to determine how much snow removal they want, what they can afford, and who they want to do that work. If a contractor is not working out for a particular district, we try really hard to work with people to change contractors or to work with contractors to specify, different ways to push snow, depending on prevailing winds where we're having drifting or, et cetera, et cetera. I absolutely agree that snow removal in these districts it needs to be better. We discussed that at length during our meeting in March with the residents that were able to come. And I think, based on that, we have decided to set these roads at a 3-inch trigger moving forward and see how that works. Any resident at any time is welcome to call me or Caleb directly at any point during the winter to talk about snow or any other development on the road. With the amount of mileage that we have and effectively just Caleb out there looking at all of these districts, we don't catch everything. But we welcome the feedback and we welcome the calls and we'll absolutely do our best to take a look at these areas that need more attention. As far as sweeping, I believe Grandview and Lanning are on our sweeping list. We work with the county road department for sweeping because we don't have contractors in the area that have those large sweepers like the county road department does. So we work with them. What that means though is that those major collectors, those major everybody roads, you know, as you say, Commissioner Hunthausen, those get done first. We also have close to, I believe, over 30 miles of roads getting chip sealed this year, and those have to be done first before those roads can be chip sealed. The sweeping will come, but unfortunately, these two roads are a lower priority than those other roads, and we just have to be a little bit patient. We are certainly working with the road department to work through that list, and they're working on it as they prioritize all of the things that the road department has to do in this county.
Thank you. One of the things that I heard there is that citizens that live on these roads, encouraging them to be kind of your eyes and ears on the ground because you can't get into everything. So if a storm comes and really needs to be plowed, that a phone call might help that initiation. Where Caleb driving by might say, well, it looks good enough, and not hit that time. So the people on the ground can help quite a bit. Is that?
Certainly, Mr. Chair, and absolutely, if it's been a day and nobody's come, absolutely call us. Yes.
Just one question, Jessica. Are there such things as school bus routes that have a priority? That I used to live in the country and the school bus routes got the first attention. Is that still how this works?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Payne, that is for the county road department. So the county road department works with the school district to determine what those school bus routes are. And those are also given a priority for the bus route to make sure that those buses can get where they're going. You know, within rural improvement districts though, you know, if it's not a bus route, if it's not a main collector, it is just a lower priority. It's I think, you know, the same. If, you know, I live in the city of Helena, it's the same, right? They work on those snow routes first and the neighborhoods come later.
Any other questions this time?
No other questions.
Okay, and so I'm gonna look into the loop situation and
Absolutely.
going on
Yes.
there and the crack seal for us, that kind of thing. We have similar situation as Lanning. This road was also used as part of the detour system, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so commissioners, with that, if you would like to take the same kind of action on the last one, this is the time for that.
Mr. Chair, I would move to delay decision on this RAD and until the 25th, and ask staff to go back and take a look at if there is a responsibility of the county to cover some of the maintenance cost.
I'd like to sort of rephrase that. I think what we need is a motion to table. This-
Motion to table, I guess.
Okay.
It's proper.
And I'll
Okay.
second a motion to table until June
Yeah.
25th, and we can address some of these other issues.
Thank you. Moved and seconded to table until the 25th of June, and I did not close public comment, so public comment remains open through that discussion on the 25th. We'll have another opportunity for public comment at that
Mhm.
time. Commissioners, any further discussion?
Just something I'd just like to say to the good folks that have been in here to and comment on this. I really do have confidence in the staff as far as establishing value costs and what it takes to maintain the roads. I think they do a great job. I do think there's some special circumstances here that we need to deal with. And if we can find a way to absorb some of that cost, if it's we can legitimately do that. I think we need to analyze that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any further comment? Really appreciate your work on this, Jessica, and all the folks that came today. Appreciate your comments and feedback. It helps us understand what's going on the ground. It helps us and staff understand what's going on in your neighborhoods. We can't be everywhere all the time. People are doing the best they can with what they have. And so we are trying to provide the best service we can. And I appreciate all that you do, Jessica and Caleb and the others. So we'll try to make sure we study this well and come back hopefully with some good confidence in decision-making on the 25th. That, commissioners, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. All right. We will move on. The next item on the agenda is Resolution 2024-49, intent to increase the solid waste disposal fee as recommended by the Lincoln Solid Waste District.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Misty Edwards. I'm a Senior Finance Coordinator in the Finance Office. Before you this morning is a resolution of intent to increase the annual Lincoln Solid Waste assessment rate from $135 per assessment to $144 per assessment. The Lincoln Solid Waste Board met on April 16th, 2024, and voted unanimously to increase the Lincoln Solid Waste assessment in order to operate the Lincoln Container Site and maintain adequate cash reserves. All other fees for the Lincoln Solid Waste District will remain the same. Staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve the resolution as recommended by the Lincoln Solid Waste District Board and open the public comment period. A public hearing for the assessment increase is scheduled for the June 27th regular public meeting. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. And I just might add that at the Lincoln Government Day meeting last Friday, as an announcement, we announced that this would be on this agenda, and we did allow for public to make comment at that time. There was no significant comment related to this item, and we let them know it would be on today's agenda if they were interested in participating. Any questions, commissioners?
No.
Okay. How about public comment on this item? Any public comment on this item? All right. Is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I would move that we pass this resolution of intent to increase the Lincoln's solid waste assessment and move towards a public hearing to increase it on June 27th.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion, commissioners? Commissioner?
I'm just a little confused. This is a resolution for intent, or I missed the part about another hearing?
So in the resolution,
Yes.
it describes that this is a resolution of intent to raise the solid waste fee. And on the 27th of June, there'll be a public hearing to then take further comment and make that decision.
Okay, well, I appreciate the explanation.
For understanding purposes, maybe why we have to do that.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, we have to do the resolution of intent and notice the resolution and the intent to increase the assessment for 2 weeks in the newspaper. And at that time, we say when, where the public hearing will occur and allow for public comment. And at that time, hopeful adoption of the resolution to increase.
Okay, I appreciate the explanation. I
You
was
bet.
confused.
No, it's good. Ask if don't understand, for sure. Thank you very much. All right, any further discussion about that? All right, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. We move on to the next, resolution 2024-50, intent to transfer real property from Lewis and Clark County to the city of Helena.
Again, good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Misty Edwards, Senior Finance Coordinator. Before you this morning is a resolution of intent to transfer county-owned real property to the city of Helena. Montana Code annotated 78101 authorizes governmental entities to transfer property between each other if the entity that owns the property deems the property unnecessary for the conduct of business. The transfer must occur by following certain procedural steps, including passing a resolution of intent, noticing the resolution of intent in the local newspaper, and passing a resolution to transfer. The subject property, known as the New York Lode MS 7592, is located west of and adjacent to Grizzly Gulch Drive. Lewis and Clark County acquired the property via tax deed in 2012 and has no need or use for the property. The property is mountainous, rocky terrain that abuts Mount Helena City Park. The city of Helena intends to add the property to the Mount Helena City Park and maintain it as open space. In September of 2023, the county allowed the city to perform a forest fuels reduction project on the property to mitigate any fire hazards in anticipation of this transfer. Staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve Resolution 2024-50 as recommended by staff. Public notice for the resolution to transfer will be placed in the Helena Independent Record on June 15th and June 22nd, stating that the commission will consider the item at the regularly scheduled public meeting on June 27th. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Very good description of the process. Any questions, commissioners? Any questions? Okay, how about public comment on this item? Public comment. Public comment. No public comment. Commissioners, how about a motion?
Chairman Hunthausen, I move to approve the resolution 2024-50 intent to transfer real property from Lewis and Clark County to the city of Helena as presented by Misty Edwards.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve the resolution
Gotta wake
as
up.
presented. Any further discussion? I just mentioned, commissioners, Cedric said this in her presentation, but it is a steep and rocky terrain. It abuts the Mount Helena City Park. City of Helena, which is still the public, intends to maintain that property. We do not have a park department nor need for the property. This would be in the best interest of the public, so that an entity that actually maintains parks and will use it for the good of the public as open space. There's already a little piece of a trail that goes through it that's part of the Mount Helena Trail System. And so this is the best solution and the best option from my perspective, and I'm very much in favor of moving forward with this item. So, any further discussion? No. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Edwards. Appreciate it. All right, we're at that time in the meeting where we will take public comment on any item that's under the jurisdiction of the commission, but not on today's agenda. Any public comment? Seeing no public come forward, we will stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.